Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. How was my break? I was just doing videos. I really didn't take a break. I from streaming. I noticed my city is getting very, very overcrowded. Not even with the minorities, but with white people. There's just a lot of people. It's just, I try to get ice cream. It's just insane the crowds you deal with in my city now. Any suburban city that's decent is just getting overcrowded to shit. Mavericks won the number one pick. Really? I don't think they do that yet. Don't they do the lottery during the Eastern Conference Finals? The conference finals they do the lottery. They don't do the draft lottery yet, man. John Thune signs potential opposition to codifying Trump's executive order into law lowering drug prices to match those. Yeah, that's never going to pass. Even Bernie Sanders said it's not going to pass. Trump tried to do something similar his first term. It got hung up. There's too many people that are owned by big pharma within Congress. So you see libs crying over the plane. The plane, honest, I can understand them crying over the plane. The plane is not a great look. Now, originally, I thought it was worse, but apparently it's just a temporary thing. Trump is getting this plane. This is a behemoth. This is like nicer than Air Force One, or it's like more luxurious. It's a behemoth, a $400 million airplane, mega plane. And they said originally that, this is like a serious gift. Trump was going to use it, and then it was going to be his. Like he was going to take it because people said, "Well, Vance will use it." No, apparently it was a gift, but then they're saying, "Well, now it's temporary and it's not a gift from Qatar." So I don't know. It's not a great look because nothing in life is ever free, especially something like this from a foreign country. The United States should be able to build their own new Air Force One. I know there's a problem with Boeing, but come on, it's just not a good look. I don't know. But maybe it is temporary. Who knows? How's your brain fog doing? I don't get that nearly as bad anymore. Some days I still get it, believe it or not, because I went through a period to where I never got it, but then it's like on the weekends sometimes I'll get it. It's kind of like the same time every week. It's weird. They did the draft lottery. Oh, they actually did do it. See, I thought they did it later. The Mavericks got the number one pick. They got Cooper Flag. Stock markets went up. I didn't really check it. Let's see how much it went up. That's a good day. It's not surprising. This shouldn't surprise anyone. That was a surprise. It was a surprise that the tariffs got removed so quickly from both China and the United States, and so the market was going to react in a positive way. Let's look at the week performance. Should be a good month. Yeah, this is the last month, so the market is definitely adding. That's for sure. Thoughts on the South Africans in this country? Yeah, it's very rare to have white refugees, but that's what we have now. And Trump made that. You give credit to Trump because normally no one will call that out. Like, look at this thing. This is a massive plane. What is that, just waiting for Trump to take? Do you think the plane has bugs? Don't want Trump to accept this too dangerous? It's not even if it has bugs or not. People will say, well, they'll obviously look through it to make sure. I don't know, man. There's a lot of sophistication you can do when it comes to bugging something with all the space in that plane. But even if there's no bugs in it, it's just the idea of accepting that nothing in life is free. There's an expectation for at least positive treatment. I'm sure Qatar, they expect it. They're going to be gifting a $400 million plane. Mavs won the draft lottery. Well, yeah, they rigged it for him after losing Anthony or Luka Doncic for That was a bad trade by them. NBA is so rigged, kind of suspicious. Yeah, well, the NBA. This is what happened. I think this is what I think happened. You know, they know LeBron is coming up on the end. They wanted to try and get him at least one last chance at a ring, so they forced a trade. And I mean, it was a terrible trade for the Mavericks. Luka Doncic didn't want to leave. He's a franchise player, and you trade him for a 30-year-old Anthony Davis who's injured, and he's a center, and he always gets injured. So I don't understand that. But I think the Mavericks said, "All right, we'll give you Cooper Flag now as a payback." I mean, or that's what the NBA said to the Mavericks. They said, "All right, we'll rig it for you." I mean, it's all rigged in the NBA, but that's not even like, you know, they always say, "Well, sports are rigged in general." It's always, "All right, why don't you prove it?" But with that type of stuff, I mean, those are behind the scenes trades and transactions. I mean, you could rig a lottery very easily. It's a bad look for sure. Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think it's a bad look. That's why I tweeted out I thought that Trump shouldn't accept that. It's just not. You're accepting a mega jet from a foreign country that potentially is going to be yours. I don't know if that's true. Qatar says no, it's not. It's just temporary. But the news originally said that, well, Trump is going to own this. He's going to own it, and it's going to be part of the Trump library or some shit. But it just means he's just going to own it. So you're just taking a 400 million, and now there's rumors that Trump is launching a Truth Social meme coin. Uh, which is the last thing we really need. With I mean, because there's no way to defend any of the meme coins that they launch. It's just all crap. You can't understand how people can watch baseball, basketball, or soccer. I mean, I used to watch a lot of basketball and baseball, not so much anymore. I never watch soccer though. Is Cooper Flag based? I don't know, man. Any like white guy that comes up, it's almost like you're forced to be liberal. I mean, look at the sport; it's dominated. It's African American dominant. But I don't know about Flag. I don't think they you know they those young kids they don't that are in sports they don't really talk about politics or know much. Did you see Ben Shapiro crying over the Kanye West song? Well, he's gonna be mad for sure over the Hitler song. Why can't he have the plane? I mean, he can have the plane. It's just a bad look. Are we really going to sit here and pretend like it's just, oh, it's just a gift and Qatar expects nothing in return? They expect some type of special treatment. Or it's bugged. There's no point. We're the United States. Why do we have to accept a foreign mega airliner to be able to? I understand, well, you know, if it's for free, we'll take it, you know, 400 million. But it's especially if Trump keeps it. I mean, it's a bad look, man. The plane will be owned by the Department of Defense, not Trump himself. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's true. I just heard that it was going to be transferred to the Trump library, whatever that means, after his administration, after his term is over. Baseball is fun to play, not to watch. I don't know, man. People disagree with me 100%, but I think they ruined it with the pitch clock. You put a timer on baseball, it just makes it worse. If I was the commissioner, I just would have encouraged faster play. I wouldn't time it because now it's like a gimmick. You know what they do in baseball now is they'll put a runner on second base in the 10th inning. This is like third grade stuff. Are these guys getting paid $20 million a year so we get to see a fucking runner on second base to start the inning? Are these toddlers? Can they not play with no runners on? You have to have a runner on second base in the 10th inning. They say because they don't want to destroy their bullpens. It's like they're third graders. We did that in third grade. You know, in extra innings, there's got to be a runner on second base. They used to do 7 inning doubleheaders in MLB, and then the players are the worst out of any of them. They always blame the owners. The players are the ones that don't want a salary cap, and they ruin the sport with the Dodgers and everything, and it's just terrible. You see Laura Loomer pissed at Trump. It's always with her. I mean, who cares? Would Biden have done worse than Kamala? I mean, they're one and the same. It's just it's the same administrative arm of the Democrats. It's establishment liberal, establishment Democrats. Look at Netanyahu. I mean, there's so much stuff on Netanyahu and Trump at odds. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Trump recognized Palestine. I wouldn't be surprised based on everything I've heard. You know, I saw in betting there's like a 16% chance of Trump recognizing Palestine, but if it's going to help potential, it seems like Trump is doing a 180 with Netanyahu. He must have got wind of just the administration and what everyone thought Trump was like cucked to Israel, and now he's coming hard against it. Pause. But he's coming out against Israel pretty significantly. I mean, basically the last 5 days, and it's no coincidence, it's all the same news. Trump recognizing Palestine, Trump doing a negotiation with Hamas without consulting Israel, Trump doing a ceasefire with the Houthis, Israel not happy, Trump visiting Qatar, possibly accepting a plane, Trump, getting rid of Waltz, who was colluding with Netanyahu behind his back. I mean, it's story after story. Trump 2028, we can do it. Oh, there it is again. We got to stop, man. We got to work on 2025, 2026. We got to work. But maybe you should put money to the midterms. Or do you not care? Starmer is pro-immigration. Yeah, how about Keir Starmer, the head of the UK, coming out and saying that we're done with immigrants, so we gotta really cut down on immigration. You gotta be able to speak English. They're getting crushed by the reform in the UK. I mean, these things were gonna turn even in Europe. There's too many white people still. If they fully shifted to all these migrants and stuff, number one, their countries would be destroyed, which they already are getting destroyed. But number two, they would be able to just continue the same rhetoric that they've had, which is uber liberalism. Now what's happened is there's still enough people that are like, they're just like, what is with all these immigrants? Like, they originally accepted it, but now it's too much. So now Starmer's like, all right, we admit it's too many immigrants. We're going to cut back. They have to speak English. I mean, and he came out with like a nationalist statement today, and he did this like 3 months ago as well. If you guys remember Starmer, he had a pretty nationalist statement 3 or 4 months ago about immigration and cutting it down because it's gotten so out of control. Even the liberal people in the UK and some other, like, you look at Germany with their new right-wing party. I mean, it's just a typical right-wing party, but they claim it's like this ultra-right because that's what they do in Europe. That's how they've been able to keep the heavy liberalist viewpoints, because they relate everything to World War II and the Third Reich and Nazi Germany. So that's how they're able to do it. But even Starmer's like, you know what? We're done with immigration. Or he didn't say that, but he said that they were going to cut back immigration, and you should be able to, you have to speak English if you want to be in the country. What is the narrative if Trump supports Palestine or if he continues trade deals and wars? Well, I mean, I don't know how that ends exactly with Israel-Palestine, because the United States is involved because we give money to Israel. So how does it end? If you look at Gaza, Gaza's completely destroyed. So I don't understand. Are they hoping the Arab states rebuild Gaza for the Palestinians? I'm not sure. But Gaza, they've destroyed Gaza. The Israelis want the Palestinians out of Gaza. They've destroyed all their homes. I mean, that's just what's happened. If you look at aerial shots of Gaza, it's just obliterated. It's like 9 out of 10 buildings you'll see are just hit with shells. And steam coming out of Ben Shapiro's ears is going to blow the yarmulke off his head over the Trump-Israel situation. I know. I think a lot of them are a little bit shell-shocked. They're probably waiting. But it seemed like, I mean, even I was having to admit that Trump was more pro-Israel than the Democrats were at the time. But now Trump's done the 180 on it, to where it's like, now, this is what Trump is. He's very volatile. He'll either be, he's extreme one way or extreme another. So now he's going heavily against Israel. And you have to wonder, is that part him catching wind of everyone saying how cooked he was to Israel and reversing course on it? I mean, there's just been a lot of stories coming out to where Trump is at odds with Israel. And now Netanyahu is saying, well, we have to be able to fund ourselves. We can't rely on the United States, because they've gotten, like, ever since October 7th, what have they gotten? They were getting $4 billion per year. That was under Obama every year. That was a plan. That was a deal that was done. But on top of that, it was like $17 billion because of their war with Palestine. Yeah, I saw that. The Kai Trump's 18th birthday. They put it on Fox News. Did you see? They put it on Fox News. Do you predict Ethereum all-time high prior to rate cuts or after? No, it would be after. I think rate cuts will probably. I don't know. They're going to have to come by September, but would Ethereum reach an all-time high before September? I don't think so. You really think Trump wants the Arab states to handle Palestine? That's probably best for everyone. The Arab states dealing with it. Well, the Arab states said they were going to. This is the last thing I saw on them. And it's Qatar, it's UAE, it's Saudi Arabia. That's what we're talking about in terms of the countries that can make an investment. And it would be, they said $53 billion to the Gaza Strip, but I mean it still displaces the Palestinians, which would be viewed probably as a win for Israel. I caught wind of what Trump was potentially planning, and it was like a loose agreement with Israel and the main Arab players that can invest money. But Israel apparently is going to have significant control over what happens within the Gaza Strip and how it's administered. From what I was reading, I also was reading a lot about the India-Pakistan situation. Apparently, India was. I mean, I know people will be like, it's kind of hard to tell because it's the fog of war and they strike each other and everything like that. Apparently, India was doing very well in like their skirmish, whatever you want to call it. That's what I said. Their skirmish against Pakistan. India was really striking Pakistan's base because there was reported like Pakistan had shot down 2 Indian fighter jets, and but apparently India was doing very well. And then Pakistan went to Vance and Rubio or someone and said, it's getting really bad. We may have to resort to a nuclear option. That's why Trump said that he prevented nuclear war, because then Vance and Rubio went to India and said, okay, we can't have this escalate any further. Pakistan is at the point to where they're going to do something that's very catastrophic if they pull out a nuclear weapon. And Pakistan, to me, having nuclear bombs, I mean, it's not ideal. But from what I heard, I mean, India was kicking Pakistan's ass, and they called Vance and Rubio and said, we're going to have to use something if something doesn't get worked out, if peace doesn't get agreed to. And so that's when Rubio and Vance stepped in. So it really was the administration did a great job, the Trump administration, in working out peace. I don't think India really gave the administration credit. It was more Pakistan giving the United States credit for the peace deal, or at least getting India to talk to Pakistan. But India was right. It was a direct deal between India and Pakistan. It was just Vance and Rubio getting India to talk to Pakistan through, I guess, communication of Pakistan saying they were not doing well and it was getting very bad for them. I don't know. I mean, it was just over that small region in between. Did you see Trump's big pharma executive order? Yeah, that'll never go through, though. That'll never go through. There's too many people in Congress that are owned by big pharma. But I mean, that's a good order. Then they're like, well, it's. I thought you were against price gouging. Well, that's pharmaceutical price gouging, and it's even more than that, to where all the drugs get developed in the United States. We have to pay more money for that to even happen, and then on top of that, we still get gouged when you compare them to other markets, and when they sell them overseas, it's a lot cheaper. So, to be honest, I mean, that is being presented bipartisan. There was a Democrat that said he would like to bring it up, and so it'd be a bipartisan thing. And so, to me, it's a very good thing for Trump. I don't know if anything will come of it. If nothing comes of it, it's not going to really matter. He tried to do something similar his first term, and it didn't go through. It didn't make it far. Eric Adams is pro crypto. I did see that. Eric Adams like, I want New York City to be the crypto capital of the world or some shit. I saw that. Did you hear no tax on tips and overtime in the big beautiful bill? Yeah, I heard that. We're not in the business of doing. No, I mean, that's a campaign promise by Trump, so we knew he was going to do that. Pakistan got whooped. I mean, India is way more powerful than Pakistan, so it really shouldn't surprise anyone if that's actually what happened. I don't know exactly. That's just what I read. You must have missed Trump's big news. Was it the Ukraine deal? Right, you're right. He did say there was some huge news coming. I don't know if it was the pharmaceutical thing. I don't know if it was. I mean, the Ukraine deal, but the Ukraine deal was before he said that. The mineral deal you're talking about? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the pharmaceutical thing, or maybe it was the China trade deal, but he said it wasn't about a trade deal, so I don't know. Hilarious seeing the Xeno shills like Mark Levin crying about Qatar giving money to Trump. Yeah, I know, but it is kind of ridiculous. I mean, you have to admit, even if you're anti-Israel, I mean, gifting someone a $400 million plane is a bit ridiculous. Imagine if Israel did that. And I don't want to do that because that's like the race argument. Imagine if the races were switched, which I understand that's a legit argument. I just hear it so much. We want the war to end. We will not support launching a new military operation on Gaza. The thing is, if you're still funding them, then yeah, you are supporting the new military operation. Qatar is preparing many gifts for the United States, $200 to $300 billion in investments into the United States during Trump's Middle Eastern visit. Yeah, they said they were gonna. It was at least gonna be $100 billion from what I heard. So now it's looking like it's gonna be more. Here it is. If you want to live in the UK, you should speak English. That's common sense. English language requirements. Well, I mean, at least the citizens are getting more right wing there if they're forcing the liberal leader to say this. But I mean, you need a lot more than this. You need immigration shutdown. What was the Trump big news? I don't know. Maybe the pharmaceutical stuff. I'm not sure. He made a big deal about that. I'm concerned if he launches another meme coin. I'm not gonna be happy about that. You think he was talking about the US UK deal? I don't think so. He said it wasn't trade deal related. Thoughts on passport bros? I never really, I don't know. I just never really thought like that. Like going to another country to get a girlfriend just because the women here, I guess, are more entitled and things like that. I just never thought. I never liked the idea of going to other countries to live. I just always wanted to live in the United States my entire life. I never thought about living elsewhere. I know the cost of living is cheaper in other countries. I get it. Trump has to be the most active president. Yeah, Trump's had some crazy clips too. I don't know if you've seen some. Let me see if I can find some of these clips. Well, this was just the trade reset. He always has just crazy quotes every day. So this is the trade update. It's down to 30% US on China. China's is down to 10%. So they both lowered 115% is what it is. Both countries lowered them 115 and it resets. And you might be saying, well, what does this really accomplish? Trump doesn't accomplish much by doing this. Why did he tariff them at such a big rate at the beginning? Well, we only had a 54% tariff on them. Then they hit us with a 34% tariff, and that's what escalated the trade situation. But believe it or not, indirectly, I do believe there's been a positive development in terms of lower inflation because of the market turmoil and potentially getting rate cuts earlier because of it. So it may have a direct or an indirect impact in terms of like the heavy tariffs on China. And also, I mean, it's all part of negotiation. We wanted to negotiate a new trade deal. You do that by getting their attention. You put massive tariffs on them. They get negotiated down. Now we have a time frame. We've established a 90-day period where we must negotiate with China to get it done. You put a window on it to force the negotiation. So we've already got the forced negotiation. We got the deal done with the UK. And look, when we do a deal like with the UK, there's still going to be tariffs on them. I mean, Trump still likes tariffs. He wants to generate revenue through the tariffs. They said there was going to be $7 or $8 billion in revenue from the UK every year through the tariffs. Trump had said that he wanted to make a lot of money off the tariffs. I just don't see it. I mean, I could see maybe $200 billion a year. which is a lot, but it's not 6 or 700 billion that they had said. I mean, you're going to have to make revenue somewhere if you're going to give these tax cuts. And that's another thing. The tax cuts are coming with Trump's bill. So the tax cuts come. That's going to be another bullish thing. And all of this happens in the summer. I mean, it all outside of the rate cuts. The rate cuts might not happen until the fall. You also think the trade tariffs send a message to companies to invest in the U.S. as well? Yeah, I mean, but you're going to have to, if you want any meaningful trade change, you're going to have the tariffs remain on, which I think they will. But you can't do this thing to where, because no company is going to commit to domestic production unless you say, all right, they're staying on it. Like the auto tariffs, for example. And I believe he hasn't touched the auto tariffs. He said the auto tariffs were staying on. And the auto tariffs have a lot more bipartisan support than just the widespread tariffs. There's a lot of liberals that think, well, we should be making our own vehicles, and we are getting screwed on that in terms of outsourcing the production of a lot of cars. The auto tariffs are at 25%, and they're supposed to generate $100 billion, at least for the first year, and then the hope is that we'll get more domestic production, which will lower the revenue we make off the tariffs, but that's the point. We want the domestic production. There's a victory. Federal judge declines to block Trump's plan to use IRS data to track down illegal aliens. How about that, man? Whew. The illegal alien stuff, man. They are fighting tooth and nail. But they're trying to deport him, man. They're trying to deport him. I was on vacation. The whale. $100. Yeah, then I appreciate that. It's been a little while. The whale enters. Dude, 10% tariff across 4 trillion imports is 400 billion. Bro, do you math? China's at 30%, so even higher. Well, no, okay, so here's a few different things. Number one, that 10% rate is only for like 2 months. You realize that when we negotiate these trade deals, the 10% rate is going to go on a lot of the countries probably lower. So that cuts into it. I would say maybe 200 billion, and then the 30% on China, so even higher. Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of those 10% rates are going to be negotiated down, even if there are tariffs that remain on some countries. Wasn't Doge supposed to fund tax cuts? Where's the stimulus? Yeah, well, they didn't. They had to cut a certain amount of money. It was they were trying to get rid of $1 trillion. Then they could do a stimulus. That was a Doge dividend. It never happened because they didn't cut enough. They didn't look into any of the entitlements. That's the problem. Because I think they said it was a really bad situation in terms of people didn't want the entitlements touched. It was going to be bad in terms of Trump's approval. It was going to be bad for the midterms. I don't know exactly what the reason was. Maybe they're going to start looking into it, but now it's like, I mean, that should have been the first thing they looked at was the entitlements, because the entitlements are by far the number one biggest thing that we spend money on. Is there already 5'10" players in the NBA? I don't know who the shortest NBA player is. It was Nate Robinson when I was younger. I think he was 5'9". What was it? The New Jersey, you said? That was where the protest was? Some protest people are saying. A white van? That's the thing is you're not even allowed to deport the real bad criminals. They'll just block it. They're blocking the way. They can't even get in to deport them. Typhoon, what's up, man? The ultimate Karen, the final boss. Remember the Andrew Wilson thing, the final boss. The feminist final boss. Judiciary ordered Trump to pay out contracts cut by Doge, no stimulus. Yeah, well, I mean that won't affect the total saving. I don't think it's counted in the saving. They have to pay the contracts of what the people they fired. The 60s again, rearing its head with the protests. I know we're not allowed to like deport a single person without these people freaking out. The amount of illegals in the country, it's like, if all these illegals need a court case, and if we don't give them one, then what should be the crime for letting them into the country in the first place? It's like, so they're just allowed to be in the country even though it's illegal. The administration that lets them in, there's no punishment. But then when the next administration tries to clean it up and get them out, then there's a massive problem. I mean, there's 20 million people. We can't have 20 million court cases. It's just not. That's why Trump's trying to use other means to get these people out, because we don't have the infrastructure to deport this many people or find this many people. That's why he's offering them $1,000 to self-deport. They're getting desperate trying to get these people out because they're missing their quotas. They're not deporting enough people. I mean, this has been talked about at nauseum, so it's nothing you guys haven't heard, I'm sure, but I mean, this is just crap. What is all of this? Why is this all sports? I don't even use this account for sports. But I'll tell you what, it's the desktop that's. It's for whatever reason, my desktop browser for you page is just. There's no political stuff.
No stop is set right now, John, for Israel in this trip. No meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Analysts have been saying recently that he is being seen by the U.S., by the Trump administration, as a roadblock on many areas that Trump is trying to advance. Israel, in fact, was not having much to do with this latest hostage development. No stop is set right now.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now.
You think Trump supports Israel, the country, seeing how corrupt their government is? Well, yeah, I mean, look at Michael Waltz. I mean, if that's true, he was working with Netanyahu behind Trump's back. Trump obviously not happy about it. And they were working to get the United States into a war with Iran. But Trump has put the kibosh on that, hopefully. But it seems like even the recent report, when it comes to the Iranian talks, is very positive. Trump says Iran is negotiating in good faith. So hopefully I think they're going to work out something. I can't see, especially after all of this rhetoric that Trump's had against Israel aggression against Iran. You know, if Israel wants to do something to Iran, that's their own prerogative. But the issue becomes, if they do something, technically we're still entangled with them because of the amount of money we give them in military aid. But it's like, I mean, it's a lot harder for them to do something without the U.S. support. Hmm. Wouldn't it be funny if GTA 6 got delayed until 2027? That would be not surprising with GTA. I mean, it's already delayed till basically mid-year 2026, like May, late May. So Trump potentially suspending habeas corpus to deal with far left radical judges regarding to them blocking deportations. You got to do. I mean, it's desperation when it comes to trying to get these people out. And it's like, well, they need due process. Well, how'd they enter the country in the first place? Why did we let all these people in the country? They're not legal. They shouldn't have entered. Like, we don't have a court system that can process this many people. We just don't. It's not set up. So what are we supposed to do? I mean, and Trump was elected to get all of these people out with like a 60% approval on deporting everyone, not just the criminals, everyone. I mean, you can start with the criminals, you start with the really bad people just so they don't commit violent crimes, but Trump's rant on Fat Shot. Yeah, what was that? I don't know, just search this. It was like the Ozempic stuff, I think.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up,
Ozempic?
and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. Said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said,
J.B. Pritzker?
I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? I mean, I'll tell you.
A fat shot. They say Trump's on Ozempic, too. I don't think he is, but... nah, he probably is. Is Bull Run coming sooner than expected now? I mean, I can't predict the exact Bull Run. It depends. A lot of the bullish stuff is probably going to be happening later in the summer. That would be my thought. But I mean, even you look at the 4-year cycle, it's not supposed to happen until the fall anyway. So to me, it lines up relatively well if we are going to get an actual significant bull run. Texas versus Ohio State on Big Noon. Yeah, but did you see they didn't say it was on Big Noon? They just said it was on Fox. I think they might try and put it at night. I really do. You can't have Texas, Ohio State on at noon because, number one, the heat in Columbus is going to be unbearable. Number two, it's probably going to be a 1v2 matchup. Or actually, I don't know. They might put Penn State as the number one team. But it'll be a top 5 matchup. I think that Fox might try and switch it around. They might try and say, just allow us to put this at 8 o'clock. Because they're getting a lot of hate for that Big Noon stuff. I think they might try and switch it. Because, I mean, what are they competing with in week 1 of college football? It's like LSU, Clemson. That's no competition. The Ohio State-Texas game would easily outdraw that. Trump's response, it's not working. What a savage, mogging his friend. Well, that is the thing with Ozempic. Apparently, it messes with your eyes and stuff. I don't know about Ozempic. You got to be careful with stuff like that. You get those drugs, they're newer. The side effects. Ozempic, to be honest, I know people say they swear by it. They say it works. It's kind of weird. Like, so you can go days without eating, I guess, without even feeling like wanting to eat. Like, you don't want to eat. I don't know if it makes you nauseous. I don't know if it just makes you feel more satiated. I guess that's what it is. You made 6K on a Giga Chad swing trade, then it pumped 3x harder the next day. What, like the coin? The coin Giga Chad? That's a higher meme coin. Horsehead. Yeah, I've seen some really bad sunken faces because of it. Real bad. Does your McDonald's sell Krispy Kreme donuts yet? Krispy Kreme. pausing nationwide rollout. I don't know. I don't go to McDonald's, but I don't know if they sell Krispy Kreme or not. There's always a catch with things like Ozempic. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, I mean, it just makes you feel full, basically, is what it does. Sorry to call you that, bro, but the 10% is baseline. Even the UK with a trade deal has 10% baseline, except auto with quota of 100. Yeah, but did you see what they were estimating they were going to make off of the UK? It's a whopping 7 billion per year. I mean, that's a big country. I mean, I know we don't trade with them a ton, but 7 billion per year with a country like UK, you're not going to get 400 billion. You just, unless you keep heavy tariffs on China. The other thing is, you say the 10% is a baseline, but there will be countries to where the tariffs get negotiated way down. Because 10% right now is just, when we do negotiations with countries, they're really not going to want tariffs to remain on. Some of them they will, but also it's going to be hard to calculate because some sectors will remain on, some at 10%, some of them will take off. I don't know. But I mean, the thing is Trump's going to have to generate a bunch of money if he's going to do these tax cuts anyways. Did you see Jay Dwyer on whatever podcast? Yeah, I saw some of that against the feminists and stuff. I mean, I saw some of it. You know what, dude? You know what I realize with debates? A lot of it just, they get into arguments on definitions of words. And so it's like, it becomes kind of hard to watch. And I guess it's important because if you have a different meaning of a word, then there's no point in debating because you're just talking around each other. But sometimes the best debates is like when people are just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Stock market up 1,100 points. Well, it was going to go back up, absolutely. I mean, there's bullish news. We had a serious downturn in the market. Even before the Liberation Day happened, there was serious. We still have more ways to go to get it back up. But Trump knows that. I mean, Trump always watches the market. He grades his performance based on the market. We knew the market would go back up. But I think it's really going to skyrocket, especially with these. I mean, think about it. The market's going up. We haven't had any rate cuts or anything like that. There's been no crazy catalyst. It's just these trade deals. And it's not even trade deals. It's speculation. It's pauses on tariffs to set up trade deals. Browns media fat guy making fun of Gabriel. Yeah, I mean, the Browns always do that stuff. They've got weird people. I mean, he was like, I'm taller than him. I mean, Gabriel is really short. I thought it was a bad pick by the Browns to pick Gabriel in the third round. The guy's like 5'10". It's just not. Gabriel's older for a rookie, and he's 5'10". Is that really a smart pick? I mean, and then they take Shador. It's just a mess. Tax cuts pay for themselves, basic economics. They never do. That's what Trump said the first term. They never look. I like tax cuts. I think it helps economic growth, but they don't pay for themselves now, because you're never gonna. The amount that you lose in revenue is never made up for in economic activity. It's just not. India or Japan is the next deal. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to predict like the next deal. I mean, Vietnam's there, South Korea. I mean, what is it? There's probably a bunch of new shit that I haven't looked at for this. Modi out in 2025 in India? I highly doubt that. Bunch of Harvey Weinstein stuff. Truth Social. This is only at 1%. Oh, this must have been a fake rumor. Well, thank goodness. NBA regular season sucks, but the playoffs have been great this year. Kirk's tweet about it is just grifting. Yeah, I actually did see that. What is this thing? It doesn't even load. I actually did see Charlie Kirk's tweet. He said what the playoffs sucked or something. I was like, that's kind of a weird thing, talking about the NBA playoffs. But I mean, that was because the Cavs were getting destroyed by the Pacers, I think. Ben Shapiro slams Donald Trump for accepting $400 million jet as gift from Qatar, taking goodies from people who support Hamas. Well, I mean, I think just in general, obviously the Israel people are going to hate that. Anything to do with Qatar and getting closer to Trump or any, U.S. president, they're not going to like. But honestly, I was like, I said this is probably not a good thing. Honestly, when you look at that, it's like, just we should have our own. We should be able to. I mean, I get it's a gift, but maybe it's only people are saying, well, it's only a gift for a short amount of time. It's not going to be, but I don't know. They're going to have to give it back. Maybe if he gives it back, it'll be better. Then it's not a gift. It's just he's loaning it. They're loaning it, but even that, it looks bad. You'd much rather take a growth hormone peptide to lose weight and build muscle, way safer. Well, a lot of the people that are on Ozempic don't want to build muscle. They're women. It's unattractive to build muscle, so they just want to lose the weight. That's why women fast. They just want to lose weight. 747 isn't an actual issue. Trump said it's under DOD control and he won't use it after it's donated to his library. What does that mean? It's donated to his library. I don't understand that. So a relatively brand new plane in 4 years is going to be retired and donated to his library. Who's going to use it? It's a $400 million plane. Piers Morgan interviewed the Pope's brother. Well, that's not surprising because the Pope's brother said stuff about some Kamala or something. Like the Pope's brother is more based or whatever. That's what I heard. Isn't it weird how the Dems are the Warhawk party, the GOP are the Doves? Yeah, I mean it switches every now and then. The viewpoints will switch. But I mean, in terms of the Middle East, it's bipartisan. I don't think people want to escalate outside of people that support Israel heavily. The Middle East, Dems don't support escalation there. Well, I mean, some of them do because some of them are Israel supporters, but Trump's library will be built and used as a museum after he leaves office in 2028, 2029. Yeah, but why would a brand new plane go into his library as a souvenir? Rasmussen +6, Echelon -6, Morning, Consult -7, YouGov -8. Yeah, I mean, I think Trump's approval rating it has gone up since like a month ago. We're gonna have to wait though, but there's a lot of good stuff for Trump. I mean, what's his composite approval like -5? It's like 45, 50, 45% approval, 50% non. Why take a plane he doesn't need? It's not secure enough for his use. Yeah, but they'll say they'll check it and stuff, and they'll. But I don't know, man. With the technology, the way it works, it's easy to bug a plane. It feels like in a certain area, but I don't know. Actually, Boeing Air Force One is delayed till 2035, so No new Air Force One for a decade. The Qatar 747 is to be used until then, so beyond Trump. But after that, so the Qatar plane is going to be used until 2035. You're saying until the new Boeing plane gets built. Why is Boeing 747 isn't ready yet? Sad it's been delayed 8 years. Yeah, the Boeing again with Boeing. There's an issue with. I mean, you could say it's anecdotal, but they've had some problems with their planes falling apart in the air. 2028 polls. Yeah, I saw the 2028 polls. I didn't look at them on here though. It's just more of the same from what I saw. Vance heavily. I mean, it's going to be Vance. Right now, there's no, unless there's some falling out or something happens within the GOP. Vance is going to just inherit all of the MAGA base. Unless Trump says he doesn't want it or something happens, that's what it's going to be. And then for the Dems, to me, I'd say don't pay attention to this. Like Buttigieg, I don't think Buttigieg would get it. Harris is not getting it. AOC might be fun for a few debates. Booker, back down, I guess. Tim Walz, name recognition. Newsom. Pritzker, there's no chance. Crockett, there's no chance. Josh Shapiro, Mark Cuban. Stewart at 1%, Stephen A at 0%. Bashir, Fetterman. They wouldn't even have Fetterman on the stage, man. Fetterman ain't running for shit. Trump administration facilitating a ceasefire with India, Pakistan should increase his approval rating a couple points at the very least. It won't. People don't even know that happened, unfortunately. It's not mainstream enough. And the other thing is India disputed that we helped, although we did help, but it's not as clear cut. But it's not. People didn't even know India, Pakistan was having they were having a conflict. It's too niche. Yeah, Bannon was on there. Yeah, they put Bannon on there. Christy Nome, Josh Hawley, Doug. Remember Doug, the VP choice? Doug Burgum, they said was going to be the VP, and that was never going to happen. I don't know who's like a top choice. He's rich, apparently. They're desperate enough to try Newsom. Now, I could understand Newsom because of the slick white dude appeal, the Democrat, and then you get a minority female VP. I could understand that, but I just think Newsom's too much of a. He's an elite. He's a Cali elite. He doesn't really. How are you going to win the Rust Belt with that? I mean, even if you pick a VP that's decent, I don't know. Vance versus Biden. Yeah, bring back Biden. Which Biden are you talking about? Maybe his wife. I mean, she was already running things as people thought. Where's Christie on the list? Yeah, normally Chris Christie's always on these lists at like 1% or 2%. Ted Cruz is there. Ted Cruz is a routine one. Bernie Sanders running as a Republican. No, I'm just kidding. They're recounting ballots here in Canada. They've already flipped a seat by one vote. However, the amount of rejected ballots were raised was suspicious. Same with another seat. How is the recount going? Is it going positive for conservatives or or negative? Are they getting more votes now? No notification for the stream. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't happen a lot. Really, well, this one I can maybe because normally it's like 3 notifications per day, and today I uploaded 3 videos, but it is quite annoying they don't give notifications for that. Generic 2026 ballot. That's positive, especially considering the approval is at -1, but or the approval is at -6. That would be the generic ballots at +1. That's good. Yeah, a lot of this will subside. The tariffs will subside, or maybe the tariffs might stay. People might not have a good view on them for a while, but the economy this will increase a bit. Trump had like a +3 economy approval rating, and it's gone down significantly because it's just the reaction, and also they're polling these people. Well, this is through the 12th, so this is very recently. This is through today, but it's just there's a lag effect with this stuff. The economy gets better. It takes like an extra week to get it in the polls, and feels like Vance Tulsi has appeal in places like New Hampshire. Yeah, I mean, but New Hampshire, you win New Hampshire, it's 4 electoral votes. And also it's a small population. I don't really think New Hampshire is the gauge in terms of choosing the right ticket. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, New Hampshire's a lot more independent. Eating Chick-fil-A to celebrate the market ripping higher. I haven't had Chick-fil-A in a little while. I'll have to get Chick-fil-A sometime myself. Yeah, Chick-fil-A is good. One liberal MP was begging for a recount and screaming election fraud. Andy Bashir Westmore versus Vance, and who is VP? I don't think they would pick Bashir. Bashir's a soy. They wouldn't. I mean, maybe the Democrats would, but Bashir is kind of like a slightly upgraded, slightly less dumber version of Waltz. James O'Keefe video. Yeah, I mean, I saw the James O'Keefe video, and it didn't seem like there was any bombshells. I mean, but I don't know if there's a new one today. The one that I saw was like the last time I streamed, like 3 or 4 days ago. Starmer, Macron, Mertz, Coke scandal. Yeah, that was bad. I mean, they're like, oh, gotta hide this. Whoops. I mean, they're like high as they're like, oh, they're all laughing. It's pretty funny. Openly doing coke while discussing politics, and then they hide it there, and then they start laughing about it. Why don't you want Trump to accept the plane? It's free, better than having to pay for it. I mean, because nothing in life is ever free, especially when you're getting a gift from a foreign government that's $400 million. But look, I mean, maybe it'll end up working. I mean, I don't think people will really care in a few weeks, but it is just another thing, with Trump. He's got the meme coins and now this. But if it is being donated, if it's going to be in use until 2035, to me, I think that's not it's not like it's Trump's personally, but I think it is going to be donated to his library or whatever. So you could argue that. But if they're going to be using it until 2035, I don't see an issue because then it's like it's DOD property. Gas at 246. Gas is fluctuating like crazy in my area. It goes 319, 279, back up to 319. It's fluctuating by like 40 cents like daily. Thoughts on Reform UK's rise? I mean, they are having a serious rise, 100%. Why do you think Starmer came out today against immigration? That's 100% because the UK is shifting more to the right. You're not going to do that if the country is stagnant in terms of how liberal they were. So they are making a huge impact. For him to come out against immigration saying everyone has to speak English, that's something they weren't doing. Polly Margaret still has liberal majority in Canada at 4.5%. What is that because they're doing recounts? Is that's still going on? No, I mean, I'm seeing liberal majority at 6%. Minority still at 93%. Seems like the liberals have had good success, at least in terms of the recounts. They were at very low chances. They're still at low chances, but oil prices are way down. Gas should follow. Well, I mean, oil has been they've been in terms of where crude has been. It's kind of it's been down for a while, so I don't think it's going to go. Gas prices are going to significantly decrease even more after this. Historical context on why the UK is more right wing than most of Europe. UK is really not that right wing. I mean, they're more right wing than some of the smaller countries in Europe and Ireland, but no, they're left. There's most of Europe is left outside of like Poland, and Italy is swinging back a bit as well. But I mean, that's like a generic wake up thing that's going on where there's more right wing parties rising. It's not just happening in the UK. Because when it shifts so far, there's going to be a reaction at some point. This is still like the World War II malaise to where it's finally wearing off. Any right wing party automatically gets compared to Nazi Germany, and it's finally wearing off. That plane goes down, it will look so bad. Well, I mean, they're not going to do anything to do it like that. I mean, I'm more worried about just the optics of it. Dave Smith on Tucker tonight to talk about woke right. Oh man, that's a topic that everyone talks about now is the woke right, I guess. Well, it's like, well, if we have demographical awareness, is that considered woke right? I mean, I think that's important for people to have. So I don't know, but they say that's identity politics. You can't do that. Moo Dang did a 10x in 15 days. That's impressive that coin is a very high market cap. Stop spamming. It's impossible for people to spam, dude. You can only put one message like every 30 seconds on here. West Coast gas is 784. 784? That's like triple the price it is here. I mean, I thought it was like 670 in California. If it goes down by accident, it will still look so bad. Oh yeah, but dude, I wouldn't even consider something like that. That's not what I would be worried about. Technically Air Force One could go down. Any plane could go down. But I know, but I think it just looks bad in general, just in terms of these rate cuts. Come on, these rate cuts gotta come. You get these trade deals. I can't see them. I see them cutting in. I mean, this is basically August, July 30th. So I see them cutting on the 30th. I know it doesn't say it right now, but I can predict based off of the trade deals that'll be negotiated that they'll cut. But as long as there's no, inflation rise that's significant, if there is, then they're not going to cut. Premium in California is 489. You live near Bay Area, California, it's around 550. Yeah, I think it's more in Washington State than it is in California. Mavericks, yeah, they just gave the Mavericks the lottery. I didn't even think they would do I thought the lottery happened. Didn't the lottery used to happen later? I thought the lottery happened normally it happens in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals.
an optimistic person.
Wow, and this interview with Kimmel and Scarborough, just horrible, horrible, horrible liberalism, modern liberalism right here.
I'm not hysterical. I laugh when people say, "Oh, you've got Trump derangement syndrome."
Yeah.
I think if you're a reasonable person, you should have Trump derangement syndrome. And by the way, I think he has derangement syndrome about us too. The fact of the matter is, this is
Yeah, they got labeled with the TDS, and they really don't like that label. You can tell it irritates them. He brought it up.
a dangerous person. This is a stupid person, and that's a bad combination.
Saying the same shit you said in 2016. Oh, man. He called him stupid. Is Europe done because of immigrants? Well, it's getting pretty bad in Europe. Depends what country you're talking about, and there is a swing within Europe, but I don't know if it's enough. There is a swing back to the right, though. We are seeing with a number of parties. Kimmel trying to be serious? Yeah. Things are going to happen in Gaza, Netanyahu saying. Trump is really affecting Netanyahu. He's going to start being more aggressive. Matt Walsh, the great replacement, is real. If you had any doubt, this story about the South African refugees should clear it out for you. Yeah, well, they don't want, I don't think they want the South African refugees accepted, they said, because they're white. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, just look at the demographic shift in all of Western countries. If you're talking about replacement. I don't have TDS, proceeds to go on a rant about Trump. Well, no, the cope now is everyone should have TDS. You have to understand the cope they're going with. Because they know they have it, so they know they have it. They have to say, well, yes, I have it, and here's why it's important to have it. Kimmel said people who didn't get the vax could just go ahead and die a sick person. Well, that's what the White House said. Did you hear remember the White House? They said, if you're unvaccinated, this is going to be a very tough winter for you. You're going to face immense pain and death or something. They said that. I mean, that's a White House statement they put out. That's what they, I mean, that you want to talk about big pharma. Maybe Bernie Sanders should have came out against that, but I'm sure he supported the vaccine. Do your Browns win more than 8 games? No way. They're not going to win more than 8 games, man. The Browns are probably going to win 4 games. They're going to have to draft a quarterback. They're going to draft Drew Aller. Did you see Tony Hinchcliffe thank JD? Yeah, people don't tell me about Tony Hinchcliffe. I think I saw the clip earlier today. Didn't Kimmel cry like a bitch when Trump won? They all did. These are grown ass men. They all cry and they say it's the worst thing ever. You're a grown ass man. It's a presidential election. Shut the fuck up. I'm sick of these people crying like babies, acting like Trump's gonna. It's just it's nauseating. But they have to do this because they've made Trump this evil, horrible person. But I mean, all the late night news guys, these are grown ass men, and they legit cry. They cry, and they think it's like powerful. Like, this is how bad he is. We have to cry. Matt Walsh is either MAGA based or idiotic. Yeah, I mean, he does. Matt Walsh says the right stuff. I just find him to be weird. He comes off as a weird dude with very little personality. He seems to have a lot of the right takes about stuff. Takes that I would agree with. I just. Are you gonna make World Cup videos? No, there's no reason for me. I don't like soccer. I don't watch it. I mean, the World Cup. The World Cup in the United States. you're gonna have to watch the United States play because it is a huge event. But I have no business. I have no reason to make any videos on it outside of like the stadiums being used, and I think I already did that a while ago. I don't know how many immigrants are gonna come, Daniel. I really don't. But I don't think it's gonna be anything crazy. Department of Defense is getting a gift free of charge. 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old aircraft Air Force One temporarily. Is it a transaction? What are we giving them? I mean, I guess we already give Qatar a lot, but Walsh says Gen Z are lazy just because we aren't wage slaves. Yeah, he's got the old boomer type stuff going with him, and in terms of that, well, he just thinks all kids are like bad, basically. You know, a lot of when you grow up, a lot of people think like that. I mean, definitely, kids have grown up on technology. It makes them different. There's no doubt about that. And you could say it creates more laziness, but I mean, it's a product of the environment. Is the Qatar Trump plane issue an issue of legal? I think it's legal. No, it's legal. It's for the Department of Defense. It's just it doesn't look good. Emily Saves America is a total thought conservative grift, most clear grift of them all. Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything gets labeled grift. I have seen that girl though, but I mean, what she at least says, well, she's like this feminist. The ones that are bad are the influencers that say they're not feminists. I mean, if you're a female influencer, aren't you a feminist? Like if you're a big influencer, like that's the thing. If you're a guy, like if I'm trying to date a girl and she's got like clout on the internet, that's just so unattractive to me. I don't know. It's just not attractive. It's almost like extra baggage. Thank you for the $5. The Statue of Liberty was a bribe from France. Apparently, the Statue of Liberty was a bribe from. Did you mean to say? Did you want to say something else, sir? Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about an airplane. I mean, the Statue of Liberty, you could understand that's more of a symbolism type thing, and we can accept a gift like that. I mean, look, the Qatar stuff. I just think we'll see what happens with it. But if it gets donated to his library, I mean, come on. The Statue of Liberty was like a nice gesture that's stationary. But I mean, they're obviously going to check it for bugs and everything like that. You agree with Laura Loomer he shouldn't accept it? Well, I would agree with her as well then in that case. Will your MAGA hat be worth a lot in 40 years? No, they mass produce those. Come on. Those hats have been, I mean, unless you got like a really rare one, but even that, I mean, unless it's signed by Trump. Signed by Trump and signed by Barron Trump, imagine. And then Barron becomes president in 30 years. How much do you think a hat like that would be worth? The Cutter plane is awesome. I know it looks very 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 luxurious, but that's how they build stuff in the Middle East, man. Didn't someone threaten to take back the Statue of Liberty? No, that was a grift by some triggered French low politician, someone within their government. That was never a real thing. I think they wanted to take it back because Trump won or something, or he was talking about, maybe it was because of his invasion of Greenland that still hasn't happened, but they get so angry about. They're really angry about the Greenland stuff. I guess because like that's the only thing they can really point to in terms of like conquering a country, but it's not even what it is. But they always talk about Greenland, man. MAGA hats are made in the USA, the ones Trump sells. I know. Yeah, they tried to expose Trump. It's like made in China. Well, no, Trump actually does. There's a lot of reproduction of the MAGA hats. the aura of Trump to have a 740, yeah, a gently used 747 just in his library. It is such a Trump thing. That's a beautiful plane, man. That's a beautiful plane too. I want to get on that plane. Give that you got to repaint that. Trump took one look at that plane and said, "That's an upgrade. We're getting that for free." Trump postponed invasion of Greenland. I don't even think it was scheduled. I don't think I don't think there was an invasion of Greenland ever scheduled. I mean, we'll see what happens to it, but what do you think of Africans getting immigration status? The white Africans in South Africa. Well, yeah, that's because they Trump said they're being genocided. They're facing prosecution and they're getting their farms taken. So I can support something like that. At least Israel isn't giving the plan. I know, dude. Imagine if it was Israel. Imagine if it was Netanyahu that gave Trump the plane. How bad of a look would that be? MSNBC has 5-minute struggle session after President Trump granted white South Africans asylum. Says it's a sign of white supremacy. Well, listen, this is what Trump should say. Honestly, this is great because now we can stop all the other immigration and we can just take the farmers from South Africa. So we're still accepting immigrants. Listen. We're still accepting immigrants. But that's what Trump's going to do. He said we're stopping all of immigration except for the farmers fleeing South Africa. Are my parents farmers? No, they're not. The presidential libraries are built by private funds. They're going to sell that plane and build an awesome library. No, they're going to put the plane in the library. They're going to put the plane in the library on display. But, do you see Obama's library? The communist library? Hilarious. South Africans will actually contribute to our society with farming skills, business skills, low crime rates. Well, listen, they're fleeing something legitimate there. A lot of the people that come into the United States, especially illegally, it's a lot of fake asylum claims, is what it is. So if you're fleeing something legitimately like that, white, black, or brown, you don't want any immigration, whether from Europe, Africa, Asia. We need to raise the birth rate of our current population. In the United States, it's a little bit different. I think what I would do in the United States, the problem is the economy is going to suffer. I know you guys probably don't care about that, but if you're a president, it does matter. Like if you stop immigration altogether, the economy will suffer for a period. Which, listen, you can say, well, if we had a leader for 10 years, we'd be able to withstand that and not have an issue. But if you got an election every 4 years, it's a problem. Do you think Alberta is going to leave? I mean, it feels like it's going to be a while before they leave, if they do leave. Like, we're talking a year before they even have the referendum is what they're saying. Or they're going to have the referendum sometime in 2026. I don't know. I haven't looked at that story in the past 2 or 3 days. But it's going to be a situation to where, it just depends. Does Trump start talking about it? Does his rhetoric on Canada change to focusing on Alberta? Because then you could really make it a big story if that happens. The plane is the library. The house is the same. The library is the plane. Stack it with books. You know, it was a beautiful library. What was the library in Cincinnati that they got demolished? Where there's the famous photo of just all the books being. That would be a great. They should build another library like that. They really should rebuild Penn Station to its former glory in New York City. Apparently, they said they were trying to do that project. Let me see if I can find this MSNBC stuff. People are saying this. They're getting angry. 5 minutes? I'm not watching this 5-minute segment.
Trump has virtually halted.
So they should like this. This is immigrants. This is immigrants. So we got immigrants, and now they're gonna praise Trump. Trump is accepting refugees. Let's see. They're gonna praise him. This is amazing.
Refugee admission in America for people fleeing war and famine in places like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
But haven't we already accepted? I mean, we accepted tons of those people.
So back with Rick, Mark, and Eddie. Rick Stengel.
Yes, it's so deeply and morally wrong-headed and repulsive. These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in human history, apartheid. They're not directly responsible for it, but it was a system that actually moved black people off of the arable land. So they inherited the land that the black people had to give up. It was called forced removal. It was something called a Bantustan policy, where they moved black people out of the cities and farmlands into these remote.
So none of the people that are coming to the United States did this. This is just all going back in history.
Areas with non-arable land. I mean, it was just one of the most worst processes ever. But what has happened in this strange, bizarre world we're living in is that the Afrikaners have become the darling of these right-wing, white supremacist movements around the world. That it's like the lost cause for them. It's like the old Confederate.
They're getting murdered. We're taking them in.
They're held up as these white Christians who are being dispossessed of their land. It's like this is a modern replacement theory in a country where,
these people, the whole modern replacement theory. Go look up the white demographic. Go look up the demographics of the United States, 1960 versus 2025. There's no question. These are statistics.
By the way, white people make up 7% of the population and own 78% of the farmland. So it's actually, there's no injustice here. As you mentioned, it's taking places away from refugees who are really being crushed.
Well, they're not going to, we'll see how they do without the farmers.
By authoritarian governments and military governments. For these folks who have never had anything happen to them. I mean, Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard him say. There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years. No land has actually been.
Just like the gangs in Colorado. It was only 2 apartments or 3 apartment buildings.
And expropriated. So it's just a farce and a sham and a moral ugliness.
What happens now that he's taken this step?
I don't know. I mean, it's like a Batman movie or something where all the bad guys get collected under one roof. I mean, like, who else do you now go and find other racists who have repressed
these people were not involved in the apartheid
people and give them refugee status here? It's just, I don't know where it goes from here. But I mean, you even said it. It's like a headline from The Onion. I don't even know how to get more extreme than this.
I think it's important for us to understand that the Trump administration is a lot of things. But one thing it certainly is a white nationalist project. And oftentimes we don't want to describe it as such. I'm not reducing it to it because there's greed, there's graft, there's all sorts of things happening around it. But we need to understand.
If it was a white nationalist project, why wouldn't Trump just shut immigration down? Why is Trump pro H-1B? One of their gods they worshipped, Mandela, wanted equality for all, white and black. Also, truth is whites fought the blacks in most places in Africa fought. Well, I mean, yeah, and a lot of that land was given back to Africa after the colonization. They just gave it back. How many people has to die to make it matter? Well, it depends the race. Depends what the race is with them. With you know. It's like everyone always says with Trump, when the deal feels furthest away, it will happen. What do you mean about the trade deals you're talking about? You don't think Trump is pro H-1B as he said before the inauguration? Yeah, he was pro H-1B. I don't know if he is anymore, but for his businesses, he was. But he was standing by Musk during that segment, or during that little debate. Any news on Ukraine ceasefire? Putin and Zelensky are meeting on Thursday. They're trying to force Putin into accepting a ceasefire. He doesn't want to accept it. He wants to meet Putin. Or they're trying to force Putin into accepting a ceasefire. Zelensky's ready to accept a ceasefire. Putin is not. Putin wants to meet Zelensky face to face. That's happening, I think, in Turkey. It's not 2017 little bro with the white nationalist line. Well, I mean, Trump must be doing a really bad job at it. I mean, he's pro illegal immigration. Like, that's the other thing when they gaslight. It's the same thing they do in Europe. Any right-wing party is automatically extreme right. So there's like a, like you cannot say certain things, and you can't even say things that, on certain social media platforms. X now you can say a lot more. But other places you can't say as much when it comes to immigration. What is this? This is the Epstein Island coordinates. And we'll see what O'Keefe has. I don't know. Thoughts on Tim Tebow? I don't know. I didn't see what Tim Tebow did. That's your account in the top right. What? The Xbox Live account? They got rid of Vivek Ramaswamy because he pushed for H-1Bs too much. I don't know what happened. That wasn't really the official word. I mean, Trump still endorsed him for governor of Ohio. But, I mean, you might be right. I don't know if that was the official thing. You want to renounce your citizenship just to get your hands on one of those $5 million gold cards? You must be rich if you can afford a $5 million gold card. I don't know. What is the exclusiveness of that? I feel like it's just an easier way to citizenship. Hope we get some hot Zelensky suit talk soon. Yeah, that's probably not with that. I mean, not with that meeting. If Zelensky comes back to the White House, it would be funny to see what he wears, but anything traditional right wing is extreme. The Overton window has moved extremely to the left. Oh yeah, even in the United States, to a lesser degree in the United States, we're not as captured post World War II and the effects that Europe was. But even in the United States, like Bill Clinton is the perfect example. Look at what Bill Clinton believed in terms of how liberal he was compared to where he would stand, as a Democrat, or really not as a Democrat in modern times. Even from the 90s, they've shifted extremely, extremely left. But I mean, we're just not as liberal as Europe. So liberals in the United States get jealous and say we should be more liberal like Europe. But Europe is an extreme case. And even Europe, they're starting to swing back, but they've gotten hounded and trounced by, I mean, all their major cities. Even London, people say London is just pretty much everywhere in London is, it's just the amount of immigrants that come in, they don't assimilate at all. What do you expect is going to happen? I mean, it's like it's an entirely new country, and not in a total sense, but in the bigger cities. Why does Elon still have that name? I don't know. He's launched like some other thing in relation to Grok or something. I'm not sure exactly. It's a weird name he has. Did you see that Trump endorsed Byron Donalds for Florida governor? Well, that was always going to happen. You know, and it's going to be DeSantis against MAGA again, it looks like. Casey DeSantis this time. You know, Ron is loved in Florida, so that'll be an interesting battle with Donalds. People like Donalds. People wanted, I saw Donalds as like a dark horse for VP in 2024, but it'll be interesting. Do you see the one gay debate 25? Yeah, I mean, on Jubilee, I saw a few clips of that. I saw a few clips of that. I didn't watch the video though. The Jubilee is getting into some interesting topics. You know, they had Skip Bayless on there as well. Rapid response. Yeah, I mean, actually, I will check rapid response because you know, there's always stuff on there. There's always clips. RFK Jr. There's not going to be any. So Trump right now is en route, or I don't know if he just got there, but he's en route to the Middle East. So there's not going to be any real clips until probably early in the morning because of the time zone difference. Thoughts on Michael Jordan going to work as an analyst for NBC Sports? I saw that. That was kind of random. It's kind of random. But that'll be interesting to see. You know, the problem with all those sports now is I saw it was NBC and Peacock. And any streaming is terrible. Any streaming is so bad. But they do the streaming now. They make more money. Elon endorsing Grok meme coin. I don't know about that. I don't know what Elon's doing with that stuff. I haven't really been paying attention. He's got like the new AI or whatever. He's got like a trolley version of Grok, I think is what it is, something like that. You excited to watch the military parade? When is that? They said on is that on the 4th of July, the military parade they're doing? Hillary Clinton bitching. 5% of the wealthiest get tax breaks. You know what? I heard Trump was talking about actually raising the taxes. Oh my goodness. This is legit the biggest tax break for the middle class, and she's talking about the wealthiest 5%. The craziest thing with Trump is he's talked about possibly raising taxes on the rich because he has to pay for the tax cuts to the middle class and just in general, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. NBC and Prime will have horrible ratings for ESPN. If anything, ESPN should have been replaced, not TNT. Well, yeah, it's just TVDs, but ESPN's obsessed with the NBA. They really are. They hate the MLB, or they hate MLB, but they love the NBA. Did you see Draymond Green claiming racism for a perceived angry black man personality? I did see that. I didn't really understand it. I guess he's getting more criticism. He always gets criticism though, because he has anger problems. Like legitimately, how many technical fouls has Draymond had throughout his career? Jordan might not be a good analyst because Wayne Gretzky and Tom Brady sucked at it. Well, Brady's very mellow and very boring, and when he did his analysis. The military parade is on June 14th, so about a month before. Yeah, the military parade is good for patriotism and will Rachel Zegler star as Shiloh Hendricks movie? That would be a good casting choice, yeah. Reenact a play. Maybe as a play. Yes, Trump said he wants to raise 39. Yeah, but also in Trump's first term, he did something, especially in liberal states, that really hurt billionaires in terms of their taxes. So this whole thing, like he gives tax breaks it's just such lazy analysis, and honestly, it's false. It honestly is false. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, and those things, you have to make up that revenue somehow. So it's not like this just easy thing that Trump can do, and that's all for the middle class. All of that. Oh no, ultra rich people are working overtime. You're right. Ultra rich people are waiting tables. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like this is as middle class as you can get. You had a friend join the Air Force hoping he gets to be in the parade. Well, I'm sure it's a select number of people. I don't know how big is the parade going to be. Eric Adams' grift continues. Yeah, well, he was dealing with some legal problems. I think he's just saying whatever he can because Trump's in now to get him out of any legal issues. He's talking. He was a far left wacko. No, he was kind of like supposed to be. You know what they'll do with these very liberal big cities that clearly have a crime problem is they'll kind of get someone who is at least kind of. I mean, Eric Adams obviously was left wing, but he was like kind of seen as more tough on crime, but still left wing. I mean, I guess it's better than what Chicago does. But a lot of them they'll get someone that's left wing, but that's seen as more like a badass on crime. That's what Eric Adams was. I wouldn't call him alt left. Did you see a Sneeko video about people saying he's Kanye's bitch? Well, he was like the bodyguard, I think, for Kanye for Ye during that interview with Piers Morgan. That's what it looked like to me. Imagine wanting to go and fight for this country. Well, it's also a you get benefits. You get benefits for doing that, and you're not likely to see actual combat, live combat. But I understand what you mean in terms of just the policies that we have now. That's a common thing that a lot of people say they'd never fight for this country the way it is. I don't think they'll be sent to Israel, man. I don't think. Nah, we'll see what happens. But to me, Trump wants to solve this Palestine situation one way or another. And he seems like he's really trying to make it known to the general public that he's not Israel's bitch. And I'm guessing he caught wind of that. And also, it's just Netanyahu and all the manipulation with Waltz that he's probably very angry about. Where's the parade route going to be? It should be in D.C., honestly, the military parade with the monuments and everything. That's where it should be. I don't know where it is, though. I would imagine it's in D.C. The whole vibe at Ye's house during Sneako's stream just seems off. Well, that was in Spain. I don't know if it was at his house or if he just rented one or something. I didn't really see many of the clips of that. I mean, I saw some of them on social media, but I didn't see a lot. I saw the clip where Sneeko and Nick Fuentes were arguing, and then I saw a few others where it was just Sneeko just like playing music or something, but that's pretty much it. Trump has made you more conservative, but UDK, if you could be more patriotic, your liberal schools taught you to hate your country. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. You know, it's funny that something that feminists use a lot is like GDP, which is interesting when you think about it, because you see that argument on whatever. The girl kept saying GDP is higher with women in the workforce. Well, then wouldn't they consider like the United States the greatest country ever? I mean, all of these women are like extremely liberal. The United States has a way higher GDP than every other country. So then doesn't that make the United States like by far the greatest country ever? I mean, even if you extrapolate it per capita, still with the amount of our with how big our population is, we've got a crazy high GDP. But it's like they hate the country. They think the country's terrible. It's horrible. There's all this anti-women propaganda going on and all this. But then it's like, oh, we love GDP because women help the GDP go higher. Well, the United States is the highest GDP by far. So how are we not a great country under your own definition? I just thought that was interesting. They kept bringing up GDP. Like the GDP is higher because women are in the workforce. Well, actually, we've talked about sacrificing GDP to not have this immigration issue. Did you see the Piers Morgan interview with Dan Bilzerian? Yeah, no, I've seen that. That was from a while ago. Unless he did another one recently. I've seen that interview. All fake. Israel just doesn't want to look weak, so they have to pretend Trump takes the reins. Yeah, I think that's cope, man. You know, I think there's a subset of people that really have bought into the whole thing where Trump's controlled, everything's controlled by Israel. Dude, I mean, this is documented stuff. If it was controlled by, like, and you could say, well, it's all just for show and whatever. Well, then why is Trump talking about doing a nuclear deal with Iran? If Trump was seriously, there's no way that he'd be talking about that unless you think that's for show. Listen, if there's a nuclear deal that gets worked out with Iran, you really can't say that anymore. I mean, you can keep saying, and oh, it's all for show. It's not real. They're just trying to, Trump's just trying to manipulate the public. But I mean, I really don't think that's the case. I mean, I definitely thought Trump had was definitely giving Israel special treatment, but it seems like it's to a degree it's ending. What's your take on Dan then? I don't know, man. He comes out of nowhere and starts the hardcore anti-Israel stuff. I don't know. It seems disingenuous to me. Imagine the parade is in a random city in Nebraska. You could do it there's a lot of beautiful places in the United States to have a military parade for sure. But I was just thinking DC, with all the monuments. Who's your favorite superhero? Probably Batman. I just love the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. The liberal pope is the final nail in the coffin for the Catholic Church. Yeah, well, we'll see what he does, but I guess in terms of that, there's a lot of Catholics that I personally, I'm not Catholic, I'm Protestant. I know Catholicism is the new cool thing. The amount of people becoming Catholic, young males especially, is very high. But they're forced to defend Pope Francis with some of the stuff you see with him. Like he's got like the trans people dancing behind him in the church, and I don't know. We'll see with this guy. You don't want to say, well, he's going to be woke and all this, but it is true. There are a lot of Catholic NGOs that promote heavy immigration into European countries and just the West in general. but that's like their political doctrine to accept people. I understand it, but from a modern lens, we're dealing with something a little bit different. Everything is fake. Iran is controlled by Israel. The moon is controlled by Israel. I know people don't like when you troll like that, but Elon Musk's Mars is controlled by Israel. Trump caved to China. Well, I wouldn't say he caved. I don't even think really liberals said he caved. I didn't see that anywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't look at the liberals too much, but no, I mean it was a reciprocal thing to where they both brought it down by 115%. It's not like Trump brought his tariffs down more than China did. But I think both countries realize they're better off having the tariffs lower, if they're going to negotiate this. New Stephen A. Smith warns Dems if Trump administration strikes a successful deal with China within 90 days, Republicans will win midterms. I mean, Stephen A.'s political analysis is just... Dude, but you can tell and listen to Stephen A. I just feel like there's nothing there. I just don't think he knows much, honestly. As a Catholic, just because the Pope says something doesn't mean we have to say or agree with him. No, I understand, and Catholicism has grown exponentially. I get it, but it's he's the figurehead. Are you controlled by Israel? Well, I am controlled by YouTube to a degree. You could argue that. So under YouTube's umbrella. Brandon Johnson, very happy to have a fellow far-left Chicago liberal as Polk, 7% approval. They voted Lightfoot out for... I know. They voted Lightfoot out. I'll never forget that on Twitter. Back when they did that. Lightfoot was always like a meme as just a terrible mayor. And then I saw someone, they're like, somehow, Lightfoot is gone or whatever. Somehow they got someone worse. They got someone more left. But that's what those cities do. They're so liberal they just can't help it. The only way they'll duct tape it is by going with some liberal who's like a minority who's tough on crime, like Adams. That's the only way they'll try and duct tape it. But otherwise, they just can't help themselves. I mean, it's clear you need Republican leadership. I mean, that requires serious crime, like Rudy Giuliani type stuff, and they can't come to even come close to voting for. Just look at the governor's race in California and how crazy it's going to be. If Kamala Harris wants to run for that, she's going to win 100%. That's the last thing that they need, but she's going to win. She's got the name recognition and she's liberal. She'll win. That's just how it is. Stephen A. trying to go from TV star to politics just like Trump. Smart move from the guy, but he doesn't know economics like Trump does. Well, it's just Trump was also involved in it. Remember, Trump was considering, like he did an early 2000 Trump was involved for politics. And Trump's job is more, him as a TV star and being, he was already in with a lot of politicians as it is and already talked about for decades before he actually ran in 2015. So the context of it isn't even comparable. That's the thing. Like there's all this comparison now. It's like Trump has opened it for everyone. Like, you want to be the president? Trump was able to do it. Yeah, but Trump was a multi-billionaire. He knew everyone already. And I'm not saying Trump's not an outside figure in general, but it needs context. Israel is making Trump act like he's holding them back. What, from war with Iran? Well, I mean, if they go into war with Iran, I don't think Trump will support it. So you'll have to tell me. I mean, the only way you could argue is, well, we're funding them anyways, so we support it. But no, they wanted our intelligence in terms of striking those nuclear plants, and we didn't give it to them. Jesse Waters went after Rand Paul. Paul has been sour on Trump and a lot of the tariffs he's been angry about. Rand Paul has. Yeah, he's like a libertarian, like his father, but we're trying to get stuff passed. You're a Republican. You vote with Trump. The Minnesota Twins have won 8 in a row. The AL Central is a good division, man. The AL Central, believe it or not, it's a solid division again this year. Seems like Vance has been quiet lately. The left made him a meme, and now he's been sidelined. No, I don't think that's. I mean, that meme was embraced by right wing people, but that's not because of it. I mean, there's a VP. He's a VP, right? There's not. You're gonna go through stretches where you don't make a ton of news, and so I heard Vance gave some speech people were talking about the last time I was streaming. That was like 4 or 5 days ago, but. Holding them back from pushing forward the greater Israel project because it failed. Well, tell me this: if Israel controls listen, this is what I would like to have you answer. And you could say, the other Arab states have been destabilized, but still, this is just the reality of it. You know, Israel right now in their current land ownership, it's less than New Jersey. So how is it possible that Israel controls all this stuff, yet their own country's land ownership is smaller than New Jersey? That seems a bit crazy, does it not? And I know you could say, well, they've destabilized other Arab states and things like that, but still, it is pretty remarkable if they control everything. Mavs had just a 1.8% chance to get the number 1 pick. NBA is rigged. Of course, they made the Mavs trade Luka. They wanted to give LeBron one final chance at a ring, and then they said, we'll throw you a bone and we'll give you a Cooper flag. It's a joke. I mean, it's worse than rigged. It's so obvious. It's not, when people claim things are rigged, it can be annoying, but that's something that everybody knows that's rigged. I mean, you love the Please meme? Yeah, that's a meme coin, the Please thing. Thoughts on Paula White, Trump's spiritual advisor? Do you think she needs to be fired? She's one of those false teachers who begs for money, is a total wacko. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you on that. Did you see the new McDonald's news? Apparently they're selling Krispy Kreme donuts. I like Krispy Kreme a lot. I've had some donuts from Sheetz. Sheetz has good donuts. They got like this cream filled. I shouldn't say it, but no, I mean I like Sheetz donuts, but Krispy Kreme has the best donuts for sure. But then there's these local mom and pop donut shops. They have the bigger donuts. But Krispy Kreme, in terms of just like the chains, it's way better than Dunkin'. It's not even close. I think Vance is showing how little Kamala did. You knew that, but now it's in your face. Yeah, I mean, Kamala, but the Democrats they have a different operation. They really don't have figureheads like Biden. They're like a blob. They move as a blob. There's no really one. Like, do you blame Biden for things like when stuff happens? People blame Trump. They don't really blame Vance just because it's Trump, or they blame Elon. With the Democrats, they just move as like a blob. They don't have a real. They haven't had a leader since Obama, really. And even Obama was like off limits with the whole stuff with him, but that was a different time. I mean, it was a different time on social media when Obama left in 2016, 2017. Do not finish that sentence. Yeah, when you stream long enough, you realize things when you're saying them. The state of Jefferson will happen if Kamala is governor. Yeah, you're talking about Northern California. I mean, Be interesting. Who do you want to win the NBA Finals? I'd say Cavs, but Cavs are not going to win. They're going to lose in the second round, unfortunately. Will you bring on Northern Perspective on your stream? Good Canadian political channel. Northern Perspective. I never heard of it personally. I don't follow many Canadian YouTube channels. Please show the Mavs front office. But I mean, Kyrie and Anthony Davis are very old.
The second pick will be
it's so rigged. Oh, it's the fake, the fake cheers. Come on, guys. This is bad. This is terrible for the NBA. The Seattle Supersonics, yeah. The Seattle Supersonics are making a comeback. They're going to be making a comeback within the next 4 or 5 years. Maybe even sooner. They already got an arena ready. It's the script. They're celebrating beforehand. Do you agree with new stadiums being domes, even though it takes away the game's appeal? No, I think it's terrible. And to me, it makes it really generic. And if I was the NFL, I would force some teams to have an outdoor stadiums. Like, either Chicago or Cleveland, one of you has got to have an outdoor stadium. We can't have this many domes. There has to be a president out there, you know. It's just like it's just like a lack of future thought, forward thing. You need to understand, if there's all these domes, I mean, it's gonna ruin the product. There's a uniqueness to weather, even when it's sunny out. There's a uniqueness to it, you know. And the thing is, with these translucent roofs, they really dim the sun anyways. So they don't even. It's like they let in light. They really don't. I mean, some of them do, but it's like really tame. So I think it's bad. Adam Silver has been killing the league since he's been commissioner. Absolutely. Well, you can tell he's more of a softer liberal type commissioner, and I don't want to relate everything to politics, but you can just tell based on how the league, how he handles players versus Stern, and just in general, sports has gotten more liberal, and so it gets worse. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's going to get worse. Things get more liberal. In general, they're going to get worse. I mean, I guess it depends how you define liberalism. It's like a debate thing. Define liberalism. But it's like, you know, Silver's more liberal, so they've let the players just run all over the owners in the league, and it's just terrible. What's with the gas prices here in Illinois? It was $2.97 3 weeks ago. Oh no, it's fluctuating like crazy. It's very volatile. I don't know what is 60, the 61.89. Yeah, no, it's going to continue to be a little bit volatile. When did Trump enter? Right here. Trump entered at 76. Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably trend around there. Again, in my area, it was 279. The next day, it was 319. Please show Jesse Walters clip. Jesse owned Rand. I mean, what is it on Fox News? Yeah, they literally got this. Kai Trump turns 18. All right. Don't know if that's national news, but U.S. Bank Stadium needs $300 million worth of repairs. I saw that. You see the video on that? For what? It's a beautiful stadium. I don't know, man. 300 is it 300 million in just a single offseason? It's just, I don't know what's going on with these stadiums now. It's a beautiful stadium. I don't know about $300 million 10 years into its existence. Pete Hegseth denies trip. Yeah, that seems like it's kind of fake bullshit. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do a trip to Israel. Why did Pete Hegseth cancel his trip with Israel? That kind of seems like, I mean, you could say, well, that's Trump saying he wants to portray like a negative image against Israel, I guess. 450 in Hawaii. That seems relatively cheap for Hawaii. 219 in OKC. Damn, 219? We're never going to see 219 in this area in Ohio. Well, we might. I mean, if you go through another... Unfortunately, when the economy shits the bed, you go into a recession, the gas goes down significantly. So hopefully that never happens. But you see the recession numbers. Take a look at this. Recession. Down to 41%. It's down 62 to 41. So that's interesting. I think it's because the early readings on Q2 are positive in terms of the GDP growth. Feminists will rejoice. Will rejoice. The GDP is going up. Eric has the Jesse Walters clip. Dude, this guy looks like he looks like a thumbtack.
Senator, you were panicking. You were against the tariffs. You were anti-tariff. Now, what do you have to say?
Jesse, I'm a free market guy. I think international trade creates great wealth, and there's all the facts and history of the last 100 years to prove it. But I'm also a friend of Donald Trump's. I'm a supporter of Donald Trump's. When he has successes with trade, I've said I will compliment him. If he succeeds in lowering tariffs and lessening the obstacles to trade, I'll be right there. I think it's unknown with China. We started out at 145%, then we went to 80%, now we're at 30%. But that's 30% more than we have on currently. So this will be a 30% rise in any goods who are coming from China, and somebody will pay that, and it will be the consumer. If the consumer's happy to pay more when they go to Walmart or more when they go to Target in order to get...
He's coping. He can't... I mean, again, especially now that it's been paused, what are you talking about? There's going to be a significant increase. It's just not... And also that can be absorbed. Like the 2018 tariffs were absorbed by the companies and potentially not passed to the consumers, especially in a competitive capitalist market. It depends the sector.
Fairness or to teach China a lesson, then so be it. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens over the next 6 months to a year.
So you think our defense industry should rely on the Chinese? You think we should rely on Chinese steel? You trust China?
No, I think there are exceptions to trade and exceptions to free international trade. One of them would be defense industries. We obviously aren't going to buy our intercontinental ballistic missiles from them. We're not going to have enriched uranium coming from China. So our defense industry is completely independent and needs to be. And there are even some things that aren't necessary for defense that I would say we ought to make here. The flag, for goodness sakes.
Or pharmaceuticals.
So
you don't want pharmaceuticals coming from China.
No, well, actually, I don't. But here's the thing: there's a real question. This is a serious question you ask conservatives. How do you want to bring a pharmaceutical industry to our country? Do you want to do it by reducing taxes or raising taxes? The president thinks if you raise taxes on imports, which Americans will pay, that it will encourage the local industry. Another way of doing it is China makes like 4 different antibiotics. They're generic. There's not much profit in them. What we should do is lower the taxes to 0 for 10 years for anybody who will compete with them in our country. So it's just a matter of perspective. I would rather lower taxes. Raising taxes or tariffs is not my cup of tea.
They're not. It's not an actual raising of taxes. That's a liberal argument. When are we going to get reimbursed at gas stations? Gas has been down recently. A red New Jersey. I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. Libs crashing out over Qatar giving one plane. I want to look at this plane again. This is a nice damn plane. Qatar jet. The Qatar's bitch. I saw this. Oh, man. Now, I mean, seriously, you get a plane like that, you kind of got to accept it. Where's the plane? Just curious, what's the tariffs on a $400 million jet from Qatar? It's up your ass. Look for it up your ass. You'll find it. Can we get an interior shot of this jet? Put it in your library. Put it in the library. I'd like to get on that jet. What an upgrade. What a massive upgrade for Trump at the cost of zero. Yeah, I always pump my own gas. You know, it's a state-by-state thing if they have people pump your gas for you. It's pretty crazy. Different states are like, we never pump our own gas. They do it for us. But in Ohio, we always pump our own gas. We never had a people do it. But it's just, it depends on the state. You think companies are going to keep prices down? I don't think so. They care about profits, not morality or nationalism. Well, a lot of it depends on what the tariffs entail. If there's a competitive market and a competitor has their prices at a certain thing, you're not going to be able to raise yours. I mean, maybe they'll all raise them, but to me, it's a lot more complicated than just all of them raising them at the same time, especially considering the tariffs have been removed for the most part. But in general, considering it's a capitalist market, it's competitive. In some ways, some of these you're not going to be able to raise. You have to have a competitive price. Convinced me to like the plane. Now I'm just trolling, honestly. It just Israel gave us 2 planes in 2001. Well, we're gonna need Netanyahu to give us a plane now to counter the Qatari influence. We need an Israel jet now. Would you think us lowering tariffs or some other form of payment would make it more open to taking the jet? Is it just thought of the gift that makes it iffy? When you're talking about a replacement for Air Force One, it should be made by the United States. Bottom line. We shouldn't take it as a gift from an Arab country. But I mean, listen. You know, the Boeing hasn't made it. They delayed it. I don't know. Is Air Force One really that bad? They said it's 40 years old. It's equipped with spy equipment. Well, they're going to have to imagine it like within the walls. It's just booby trapped. Yeah, you could put it like in a window. That's a thing. You got to be careful with that stuff. Who do you think the Dems will choose in 2028? You think it will either be Newsom or Buttigieg? I highly doubt it'll be Buttigieg. Buttigieg is just too much of a soy. He's really short. He's also got like a snide attitude who's just really annoying. Newsom is like the alpha white bro who's like, oh, you know, I could see Newsom maybe, but from California, I don't know. I think they're going to go with someone outside the box. It's going to sound rude, but you really hope they thoroughly check the plane before Trump goes on it. Obviously, they're going to have to check the plane. They're going to check it. Remember the one episode of Designated Survivor? The dude put the fucking car in the White House, in the Oval Office. Does anyone remember that? The spy thing? That's what this is. But no, they're gonna stick some spy device inside the fucking, like inside the interior of the stairs. Like that's how they'll put it in the mirror. They'll put it in a light fixture. Imagine like a listening device. No, I don't know. I mean, they're doing it to try and have a good relationship with the United States, I think, to get some favors. Do you think Trump will recognize Palestine? I do think he will, yes. Trump really seems like he's trying to go on this anti-Israel stuff, and but it's not a high percent chance, by the way. It's only a 14% chance right now, but this just started. JFK had aura-based Democrat. Thank you for the $5 donation. Yeah, well, the history on JFK, especially when it comes to a lot of right-wing people, has turned very positive because they say he stood up to Israel, and that's why they killed him. But, I mean, JFK was a different era of Democrats. I mean, they were a lot more conservative. MTG not going to run for Senate. That would have been a disaster. There's no way she could have done that. I mean, if she would have won the primary, she would have gotten destroyed against Ossoff. Yeah, it was always a joke. You're gonna go pregame for the Timberwolves? All right, man. I'll see ya. Yeah, I'm gonna head out, guys. I did 2 hours on here. Ruben Gallego has been seen as a potential presidential candidate. I did hear about that. I don't think that's really real. But I mean, honestly, with the Democrats, I'm open to like them to like different names because I think it's going to be someone completely out of left field. So maybe it would be Gallego, but I don't think so. Do you think the Virginia governor election will be a bloodbath for Republicans? I think Democrats will win big. Yeah, I think Democrats will win. Do you think taking the plane as a bridge plane while we build our Air Force One would be acceptable? Well, that's what they said they're going to do, but the thing is then it's going to go to Trump's library, so it's like it's going to be Trump's gift. That's the thing. Like, if they just took it as a bridge and then gave it back, that would be seen as less bad. Mavericks rigged the lottery. Well, the NBA rigged it for the Mavericks after they traded Luka. That's what I think. It's been really cloudy anyways in my area. I mean, it's like Gallego's dad was in the cartel, you think? There was something about that, I remember. What, against Kerry Laker? Yeah. All right, guys, I'll see ya.